even if it was the worst decision in the world.
It's super overwhelming.
It's super overwhelming.
This is Lisa.
And this is Lana.
We are two old friends.
A nurse.
And an actor who are both taking care of our parents.
I got some troubles and I don't know what to do. I got some worries and I'll share them all with you. Sometimes we'll talk it out, or maybe scream and shout. It's always easy when I see you through with you, 'cause we are two old friends talking to old friends. Not too old.
This is a podcast about what to expect when you're not expecting it.
How much longer is this going to be like this?
They're going to make me cry again.
Two old friends talking to old friends.
We have not talked in, we've talked a few times, but we have not done an actual recording or done a real catch-up in 3 months.
Yeah.
3 months.
Yeah, it amazes me how time flies when you're taking care of your parents.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I don't know about you, but I feel like I am learning so much right now about myself during this whole process, and about staying present to whatever's happening, and failing miserably at that sometimes, and then doing really well. But I feel like I'm practicing being the person I want to become. I know it sounds like really broad, but it honestly, if I look at these past 9 years, okay, it was only 9 months, but I did say 9 years by accident.
It feels like 9 years.
It feels like 9 years, but 9 months. I have to say that when you learn something and you're in you journal it, or someone tells you something, you're like, that's a great way of living, or what an epiphany. I really figured it out. When I looked through my journals years later, I found that I had the same epiphany every, 3 years or 5 years. And I'd be like, so I just forget it and then start over again and then have another epiphany and think it's new and fresh, when it's actually something I learned in my early 20s, but just forgot. And what's happening now is it's not just a single thought, it's practice. So I'll learn something about myself, about how I need to interact, and then get an example of that or practice at that over and over and over until it is finally becoming ingrained in my bone. It is me. And I look at this time, and this is going to sound overly optimistic for anybody who's taking care of their parents, and you're kidding me. You're feeling that good about it because it's a lot of crap. But I feel like I'm actually, if I can keep my brain into a spot that says, what am I learning about me?
Right. And if you look at when did you grow, it's when it's hard times. When are you suffering?
God, that's funny you should say that, because just yesterday my mom and I were talking about that, about, the phrase that you and I say all the time is don't settle in.
Right.
Which basically means whatever you think you've figured out and is happening, don't settle in, because something's coming around the corner. Right. Oh, Dad's doing great. Don't settle in. Oh, Dad's doing awful. Don't settle in, because the next moment. Well, that is true for everything, even suffering. And you hear people get stuck in nothing's going right and I can't get out of it. And it's all shit right now. And they've settled in.
Right. There's a pattern of thought.
Yes.
That's where your mind goes, and you've got to break that. I called you about a month ago, and I said, man, I knew I was burned out, because anything that happened, little, huge, whatever, it just sent me to a really negative place. And you challenged me, I don't remember the words you used, but you said, okay, instead of reacting, just pause and think about, well, what should you learn from this? Versus, and it's okay to be in that reaction, but but don't stay in that.
Yeah.
Because that's not good for anybody. So this situation, why is that making you react that way?
Right.
It could be something like, I'm tired. Yeah. I need to go to bed.
Yep.
And I know I'm not processing this right.
Yep.
Or this is some triggering a raw nerve where I'm feeling guilty about a decision that I made.
Yep.
And this is, it's that unconscious bias of like, this is, you should feel guilty. And
well, the other thing is, I think the don't settle in also goes to the idea of being present, and the present moment is always changing. But if you go to the past or the future, that's where you settle into something that's not even real. And so I remember when you were telling me about some of the frustration that you were feeling, I said, can I ask you, are you thinking to yourself, I can't believe I've had to deal with this for so long. It's like never ending. It's been like my whole life of dealing with this. Or are you thinking, I can't do this any longer. How much longer is this going to be like this? And you said, well, both. I just go back and forth between those two. And I said, that's exactly the issue, because that means you're in a perceived past and a possible future, but it's not present.
Right.
And if you are present, you can say, this moment, I'm safe. This moment, I'm okay. But and that's not to say that you shouldn't look at repetitive behavior. Obviously, if somebody's in an abusive relationship,
right? Yeah.
But even then, they'll be doing, he always does this, and maybe it'll get better. And they're still doing a past and a future, which really messes with your present, because you can't be actually present to anything that is happening. I get like this the second I think to myself, oh my God, how are we going to handle this like in the next coming years? My stomach clenches. I start to panic.
So it's super overwhelming.
It's super overwhelming when you start to go that far down the line. And the truth is, don't settle in, because you don't know what's going to happen in the next moment. And even when you have that thought, suddenly they've got a UTI and you are no longer thinking about the next 2 years. You're thinking about, holy crap, we got to figure out what's happening right this moment. And that is bring you back to the present. But we can feel more joyful in the present, even when you're dealing with the literal crap that we deal with. If you stay in the moment and you're just like, yep, this is what it is. Or if you stay in the moment, you say, I'm really angry. I am really angry right now. That is totally okay. As long as I don't say, I'm really angry right now, because you know what they've been doing for the past 10 years? And they expect me to be doing this forever. Well, now you're not angry in the moment anymore.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah. And as you're talking, it's like, okay, in the future, there's an overwhelming feeling. And thinking in the past, there's where I am right now is I'm feeling feelings of regret. So future overwhelming, past, it's a regret. Those are both not good feelings. You want to get out of that.
Out of curiosity, if you regret the past, how do you think that will affect your decisions?
To me, when you ask that question, it makes me feel like I won't make one, because now I'm scared that I'll make the wrong decision.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. To me, it's a little bit like, that's paralyzing.
Really good. Thank you. I'm so glad you said that. I am really so glad you said that, because that gives some clarity on the present then. You regret how you handled something. You're afraid to make the mistake again. Then you're not actually even noticing what's happening in the present. Right. You're not noticing opportunities. You're not hearing when someone goes, oh, you know what you could do? And you're like, I know. It's just I have no idea what we're supposed to do. You're not even hearing them. You're not seeing a sign that comes up and goes, here's a great idea. And you're like, yeah, because I mean, if we do that and it doesn't work out, then how are we supposed to handle that? So you are not even, the guilt and the regret and the shame won't even allow you to see anything as any of the really good things that might be handed to you like a gift. And you're like, can't see it because my decisions could cause trauma. Instead of saying, yep, in the past, I did that. Why did I do that? What was I feeling at that time? And what made me make that decision? Most likely, I think if we're talking about some of the stuff that you've regretted, it's because you are afraid of the future.
Right.
You're like, this is not sustainable, so we better make a decision. Otherwise, we're going to be screwed in the next couple of years. So even then, you weren't looking at the present.
Right.
You were in the future. And so you made a decision, or maybe what you think of now as a rash decision based on your panic of the future.
It was. Yeah.
I don't know if I told you about exactly what happened with my dad. Basically, our one of the hospice workers, the music therapy, got my dad to start to admit to his anxiety of what's going to be next. Because truthfully, May was a pretty peaceful month for us. There was a lot of kind of quiet. I had gone away to Moab. And then when I came back, there was sort of this like reprieve of stability.
I guess everybody, stable was the word I was thinking.
Yeah, we've got
no bladder infections, just kind of just trucking along.
Yep. Very stable. And so it was somewhat peaceful. But then I think Dad was getting anxious over what's going to happen next. And we really weren't sure that he was grasping the fact that me being here full time in Ionia was not sustainable.
So you're not going to live your 50s living with your parents, Lisa, for 9 more years?
I might.
Yeah.
But not in Ionia.
Right, exactly. so for context, Lisa's parents do live in the middle of a cornfield. So there's just not a lot for
the middle of a cornfield, which is currently alfalfa, but it's very often been corn. So he finally shared with with Taylor that when they talked about anxiety, that he was worried about what would happen when Lisa left.
Well, and it's interesting. So I remember you telling me when you left for Moab, he would act up.
Yeah.
He'd get real.
Anytime I leave,
yes,
a couple days before, Dad will suddenly get in an argument with me, get in a fight with me, and then that makes that leave easier because Lisa's a problem, and he doesn't have to feel sad. Yeah,
okay.
Exactly. So
you're angry. He's angry at you, and then
angry, and that has been historically how that happens.
We've noticed a pattern when we even go out of town for the weekend. We're 2 hours away. Something will happen. I mean, literally, it's amazing. I mean, some of these, a bladder infection. Yes. How can you, but it happens, or in the ED,
and
or.
It feels like it's planned.
And at some level, Lisa, I think.
It has to be.
It has to be. I mean, there's just, we've seen a pattern.
Yeah.
Well, there's
my mom
just
said that about my dad all the time. She goes, if she had a function that she was going to go to for an art show or something, my dad's ileostomy would have a massive leak that night. So that she was going to be nice and exhausted. She's like, I swear he plans it.
And he can't. But at some level, there is
some level of, let me pull the focus back to me. Let me pull the focus back to me. Because I'm scared, I'm feeling vulnerable. And really, I think what we're talking about probably for everything is vulnerability.
Yeah.
It is what it is. And when people feel vulnerable, according to Brené Brown, things don't go well, unless they can admit to it.
Mm-hmm.
So with our situation, he was able to say, I'm worried. And I was listening to it on the monitor that we have in there because I wanted to hear what he was going to say.
Spy, Lisa.
I am totally a little spy.
This conversation is being recorded for training and quality purposes. And what's funny is Lisa's like in a camper. Okay, so it's like literally like a satellite.
I am. I got the thing right up to my ear listening to every word.
You sneaky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it helps to know what's going on. And And truthfully, I'm sure I don't necessarily need my dad to know that we listen to every word, but it's very helpful. I don't know what to tell you. I don't use it against him. So, but anyway, so they were able to, he was able to share that with her. And that was really huge because.
And he said he's nervous about you not being there.
He said he's worried because she said, are you feeling fear? And he's like, well, I am worried. What are we going to do? My wife, she's 80. She can't do everything. And what are we going to do? What's our plan? Now, we had already been starting to think of plans and trying to figure things out. We were looking into the facilities because we figured we would need to put Dad into a facility, but let's get it near my sister and her family so that he can get visited by family. We talked to the social worker. We were making plans already. We didn't want to say it to him until we could kind of see, how does Medicaid work? Can we actually do this?
That's smart.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was good to hear that he actually was worried about it and that he even did consider, he's like, she's got her own life and she can't just be here forever, which I was like, wow, I didn't even know he knew that. Like, honestly, I wasn't even, the way he acted, it was like, this is good to go, So I was like, well, glory be, he actually did notice that.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was a great conversation. Did we talk about this? I kept saying June is the month where everything changes. I have been saying that for months. Like, what did my intuition say about me coming to Michigan when I came to Michigan in October was I was compelled to come. I didn't know why, but I was compelled to
listened.
come.
Yeah.
And I listened to that intuition. So my friend said, well, what do you feel about, what's coming? And I said, I don't know what's coming, but June is where it all happens. June is where the changes happen.
June is coming.
June
Just
is
like
coming.
Game of
We
Thrones.
kept saying
Winter is coming.
That's what it was. June is coming, man.
Summer is coming.
I have no idea what's going to happen, but I know it's in June.
Yep.
And I swear to God, he had that conversation with Taylor on June 1st.
Wow.
And I turned to my mom and I was like, June's here. The social worker was supposed to come. And then she couldn't make it until Thursday. So had the social worker come, I'm not sure if all of this would have worked out the way it did. But by her pausing and not being there for right away, it allowed this amazing conversation with
the music therapist.
The music therapist.
And I love that.
It really was, the timing of it was all amazing. And so then by the time the social worker came in, we were able to sit down as a group.
And just have that foundation.
And have that. Dad already shared it. He shared it with Mom, and he had a huge talk. And of course, my mom is a very spiritual woman, and my dad is a meat and potatoes kind of guy. Yeah. And then he has things where he just, says something amazing and blows us out of. But truthfully, my mom is very much the person who's going to look at things in a very unusual way. So she was able to talk with him, and they did this meditation about. And it's the Tonglen, and I'm going to go into this, the Tonglen method. It's a Buddhist, I think it's Buddhism. Basically, it's about allowing, so however you're feeling, let's say you're feeling anger. You actually breathe anger in.
Okay.
And you let it sort of transform, and then you breathe out that which you want, which seems like it's almost the opposite, but I think it's a level of acceptance as opposed to trying to say, I'm positive, everything's fine. It's actually saying, no, I'm angry, and allowing it to be a part of you, and then letting it out as peace.
Okay.
So that what you're doing is you're transforming it to allow it to be out in the world as that which you want, basically. My mom also talked about the ocean, that whatever you're feeling, if you can let it go into the ocean, it dilutes it, and then the ocean will bring it back. Because what feels so huge to you in this moment is nothing compared to the magnitude of an ocean. So your anger, which feels huge, you put it into the water, it pulls it back and blends it with all the rest, so that it's basically like, you could say, God's love, the ocean, the universe. It can handle it.
Yeah, it can.
It can handle whatever you have, whatever you're feeling, it can handle it. So my mom did this with my dad. Again, remember, my dad's the meat and potato guy, but it's been 60 years, so he's used to my mom's crazy.
How about this? The emotion goes into the gravy. And it's Thanksgiving dinner. And there's gravy for days. And then it comes back.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. So he had...
But that's a great, and just this, one of my favorite sounds is the sound of waves. So that I am going to remember. And I just, I feel like I want to practice this a minute. Okay, so I just shared with you, I'm feeling a lot of regret today. Okay, so I'm going to just breathe that in. So this regret, and then just I'm just going to breathe this out as acceptance. And I'm kind of tearing up. I just want to visualize, okay, so we live on Lake Michigan, and I was there yesterday, and so there's always waves. So I'm just going to visualize I was on the beach yesterday.
Picture that regret.
And just letting that regret go. And then
the waves pull it back.
Yeah.
I'll just do it with you.
Yeah.
The waves are pulling it back. And I want you to picture the actual incident and your regret.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that is true or not doesn't matter. It's how you feel.
Yeah.
And I want you to picture that. And the waves actually pull it back, right? So they pull it back into the water and it blends with all of the other things in the world. And when the wave comes over, it's pure acceptance.
And it's white.
And it's white.
Oh, I got tears in my eyes. And I think the other thing, too, is I was reading something and they said time, like doing the exercise is like, that's what time does, too.
Yeah.
You know, if it's so huge at the moment and you have to ask yourself, like, 5 years from now,
right?
Is it going to, and some things are going to be big.
Yeah.
And that incident that I had a year ago is still quite big right now.
Right.
But I do have to just have that time heal.
And
that's just
and
a
do
good
the work
visual. Yeah.
for it.
And
You just did the work.
Yeah.
Because it actually, my mom and I were talking about this yesterday. If anyone's been bowling, if you've ever been bowling.
Yes, I have. I'm terrible. Even with the gutter rails on.
Even with the gutter rails. Well, that's embarrassing.
Yes.
But, so you know that there's a groove on the wood, right? There is a groove very often.
Gutter. Yeah.
No, not the gutter. A groove in the actual wood. And some of the best of them can kind of, if you get in that groove, it will actually take it right in to knock them down. If you're not in the groove, or if you're going to groove that goes into the gutter, then you're in that groove. So when we don't do the work on the stuff that we're like suffering from, we are creating a groove in our brain to always go to the same spot. And so what should minimize will actually become more painful and will affect more things, not less. So time will only be helpful if you're also doing the work.
That's a really good point, Lisa. Because if I don't do the work and regret for, and even this is the type of thing too, like, okay, that's a pattern. And if I don't do the work now, this will just get deeper and deeper and deeper. And I don't mean to be dramatic, but let's just be real. Like, it will be
It is, because what we will do is that confirmation bias where you'll keep finding things that will confirm that you make bad decisions.
Right.
Here's another thing I should regret. Here's another thing I should regret. But you're making your decisions from a fear of doing something that will be regretful.
Right.
So that's not going to be a good decision because it is based on fear. Any decision we make is based on fear is going to be a toughie. You know, we have to base it on, yes, of course I've made mistakes in the past. Like you have said, give yourself some grace in this process.
Yeah.
You know, of course, if it was a mistake, which it might not even, but if you perceive it as a mistake, forgive yourself.
And I don't do that. So like if you
Up until now you haven't.
That's right. Up until now I haven't. But if you tell a story where you'll say like, well, I just didn't handle that well with my dad and I was angry. And I'm like, well, of course, Lisa. Like, come on. Like, give yourself some credit. You know, like give yourself some grace. So I personally have a lot of grace for others.
Yeah.
You know, like that I'm good. You know, I really do think I'm a pretty forgiving person, but I will not do that to myself.
Well, then you're not a forgiving person.
That's right.
You cannot call yourself a forgiving person at this point if you cannot forgive yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
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 They're going to make me cry again. But yeah, I mean, so that is something that I have to learn.
You can do it any moment. You can choose to do it any moment. You used a phrase where you said, well, of course, Lisa, give yourself some grace. And I would challenge anyone, all of us, to say out loud that which you say to others, like you just said.
Yeah.
Well, of course, but don't just think it.
Say it.
Actually say it out loud. I'm not saying you have to do it right now. We're on, podcast. But when you're looking in the mirror, you're allowed to say, well, of course, Lana, give yourself some grace. Who doesn't get angry from a moment? Right. Who doesn't want somebody to be safe? I mean, and think about what you're regretting. I shouldn't even go into this, but really think about what you're regretting. You're regretting trying very hard to make sure that you are safe and not hurt. How dare you?
Dun, dun, dun.
You evil person. You should never have cared so much. I mean, really. So if you're going to regret something, it's kind of a funny one. But I'm not minimizing the fact that that's how
I
it
hear
feels.
you. Yeah.
But really, it wasn't done out of malice.
No.
And it may have even done, and this is where I think I feel guilty sometimes, is a little bit of our own convenience. A little bit of our, like, I don't want to have to be the person that has to continually go over there and fix everything. And you know what? You're allowed to feel that way, for crying out loud. My sister was talking to one of the Commission on Aging in her town, and they talked for like an hour yesterday. And, she's like, well, we can't get into a facility because my parents make too much, but not enough to pay, and blah, blah, the whole Medicaid scam, which feels that way right now to me. But anyway.
You're in it. Let's just be real. Like, for context, Lisa's dad, it's not like he was this gazillionaire.
No.
He was middle class. But
He's
it's not like you had tons of money.
No.
It's not like you have $3 million in the bank.
No.
Sir.
They've got a good chunk of change to live month to month, but nothing for what you need to move into a facility.
Oh, no, that's $10,000 a month.
But they make more than if you could get Medicaid. So they make too much for that. So basically, Dad did everything right. My mom and Dad did everything right. And the government says, well, then, of course, you're screwed. So, and I will never minimize that we shouldn't be helping people who are suffering.
Absolutely.
But I just find it really, there's no sliding scale on this. It's all or nothing. You make $1 more than your state wants you to make, and then you're out. How does that make any sense? So that's going to be my rant. I will talk about that plenty when I have more answers. But at the moment, I find it to be cruel.
Yeah.
Actually cruel.
Yeah.
They try so hard.
Your parents have always been very responsible.
Yeah.
With their money
and my dad was a teacher. So his goal was to give and teach and be, and to help the world. So anywho, where was I? I have no idea.
So you're talking about, no, it's all right. Your sister was talking to the area agency on aging.
Okay. So what she said, thank you. That was a good backtrack. So what she was saying, my sister was like, well, because of the Medicaid and everything, we've just decided to have move into my town so that we can, as a family, and my nieces and my brother-in-law and me, all of us do this, as opposed to me being an hour and a half away from my sister and so forth. That was the idea.
I didn't realize she was that far away.
It's an hour 15.
Wow.
So
that's 3 hours. So
it's and then how long there? So it's a huge undertaking.
All day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think the other thing that's interesting is, if you are in the situation where you have the ability to move, really look at the resources of that county.
Absolutely.
Because right now, we talked about Lisa's parents being in a cornfield. They are in a care desert.
Yeah.
Like, there are no community resources where their parents live.
Yeah, it's a small town, so their Commission on Aging wants to help, but they don't have the actual staff to do whatever the Commission on Aging is supposed to do. So I made my sister call the Commission on Aging to ensure that wherever we go is not out of some sort of county limit. Is there any place that we're going that we should not be looking at? They finally called her back, and they said, no, it's the whole county, and my sister's town is in that county, so okay, we're good. And they ended up in a huge conversation, and Nan was explaining what we're doing. She's like, well, if we can't do it, we'll just do it ourselves. And then the woman she says, that's so wonderful. It's so great that you guys are doing that. However, you need more help.
Yeah. How wise of her.
Yeah. She's like, we need to look in the resources that we can get the help, because as great as it is that everybody's contributing, it's a heck of a lot easier than just one person. She said, your mom already got burnt out. Your sister will be burnt out, and then she goes, and then you will be burnt out. She goes, you have to have your own lives. You have to have your own social circles and your own way of living. So let's look into the different ways of getting the help you need.
Well, and you have to have a backup plan, because Lisa, remember when you hurt your ankle?
Yeah.
What if you broke your ankle?
Well, for any person who has ever driven a stick shift car,
you
know that you go for 0 to 10, 15, or 20 in your first gear.
Second.
Then you go into second. Then you go into third. By the time you're in fifth gear, you're going 65. Now, technically, you can drive a car 65 miles an hour in first gear. Right?
Right. Yeah,
but only for so long.
Right.
You can only do it for so long before you destroy the transmission. So all of us can work at optimum. All of us can work at their highest level of work, but only for so long.
And that's what the lady on Air Agency was trying to capture. Like, this is great.
Wonderful, good
You're
plan.
all willing to go 65 in gear 1, but that ain't going to last. So even if life, you don't break your ankle or whatever, it's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable.
Yeah.
Yep.
And good for her for saying to you, you've got to have a different plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously our talk today is about, and I'm going to get teary, but about making our parents do something that they might not want to do.
Yeah.
So if you're sitting here talking about regret, and I have not given my dad a choice on this, I've told him we have to.
Yeah.
So now you're sitting here talking about that. I'm like, oh, okay. How do I do this so that I don't, in 2 months, look back and go, sorry, Dad? And I don't feel we will, because I do feel like we are at a bit of a different spot. And we haven't, if I look at it clearly, we have not pushed him. We didn't push this before. I kept saying, because my sister was like, should we be looking for a place back when we were looking at the facilities? Should we be looking for a place now? And I said, hold off.
Yeah.
I said, you guys have your 30th anniversary. Pause. I said, hold off, because I don't think we're there yet. I think June will be the month. And I will say, if I can give you any advice when you say wanting to not regret, you may have made the perfect decision.
Yeah.
And if you would have done it the other way, something else might have happened and you would have regretted. So make sure that your regret isn't a habit.
Right.
Simply because they're angry.
Right.
It's sort of like when a child does something and you pull their hand away from the stove and they're screaming at you because they wanted to touch the hand. Well, you knew you did the right thing, and they can be as angry as they want.
That's a really good analogy.
But that's the way it is.
And it's hard. I think what's so hard is you just don't know. You have to, I have to just trust
that that's
I
the word
did
that was in my head too.
The right decision.
And here's another thing. Trust is hugely important.
Yeah.
The other one is, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. It doesn't.
It really doesn't.
It doesn't.
What decisions can you make from now? That's all we have. So even if it was the worst decision in the world, okay, this is where we are. Yeah. So let's make a decision based on all of the facts and the information we have now. Because why? We can't settle in. Truly, and I hate the phrase like, let it go, but we truly have to stay. That's not the situation anymore. This is the situation. And within this framework, this is what we need to do now. Right. Within what we know to be true now. And you can't go back to because the truth is, they say it over and over, our perception
that's
of the past is not accurate because we've forgotten the highs, we've forgotten the lows, we're only perseverating on one aspect of it and forgetting everything else.
Right.
So you cannot, because you do not live there, cannot know all of the reasons that you made the choice that you made.
Right.
So you're done with that.
Right.
It's out in the lake. It has been blended with the rest of it.
Yeah.
And now, with the information you have, with the situation as it is, with you who you are, and they who they are, and all of those variables, you will make a new decision for the next step. And we, with my dad, we wanted him to get to the spot where he said, I'm scared, or I'm worried, or I'm wondering, what are we going to do? What's our plan?
Yeah.
And he did. And when our social worker came in and sat with us, and she asked my dad, what are you concerned about? And he said, well, Mom and I are sitting right there, but he was like, my daughter, has done such an amazing job of caring for me, but I know that she can't stay here forever. So, I don't know what we're going to do next. And, and she's like, is that causing you anxiety? And he was like, yeah. And, he talked for quite a while, and I really tried to listen to my intuition on when I should speak because I knew this conversation was coming. I just didn't know how it would come. And it just came so easy. And the thing I'm learning also in this whole process is if I allow myself to pause and wait until I know I'm supposed to say what I'm supposed to say, when you say something, you get done, you're like, ugh, I wish I wouldn't have said this. Ugh, I wish I would have said it this way or that way. And why did I do that? And I totally flubbed up this part. When you actually pause and allow yourself to go, is it now? No. Is it now? No. Is it now? Yes. Speak. It comes out flawless. Like everything I needed to say was there. Everything I didn't even know what I was going to say. I am a person, I don't know about you, but I plan shit, man. I'm in the car going through, and if he says this, then I'll say this. And if he says this, then I'll say this.
Yeah, I'll do that.
That sounds good. Oh, that sounded weird. And I get it until I feel, and then I let it go and allow it to come out. But I've got a plan. This time I was like, I don't know what I'm going to say. I really didn't know what I was going to say. And at that point, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to move back home. I don't know if I'm going to stay here. What if I want to stay here? And Dad's going to be like, well, why the heck aren't you taking care of me then if you're going to stay in Michigan? Right. And I'm like, I don't know. I can't. I didn't even know.
Yeah.
I didn't know. And it all.
What did you say?
I said, Dad, I'm so proud of you
Lisa,
for bringing this up because it is a scary time. It is a scary topic, and I'm really, really proud of you for bringing it up. And I said, you're right. I can't stay here indefinitely like this. I can't. I said, I need to make sure that I'm working and I'm taking care of my future.
Right. Yeah. And as a father, who wouldn't want that for their daughter?
Absolutely.
I mean,
but as somebody who's afraid.
Right.
So you got that balance. He wants the best for me, but he also is terrified of what's going to happen to him. And at that point was
that's a hard spot for him.
Yes. Yeah. And we were looking into facilities at that point. And so when we didn't know what we knew after, but I just said, you're dealing with like two really big unknowns. I said, you don't know where you're going to end up if they're, how we're going to make this work. And that is really scary. And I just want you to know we are working on it. So I know it's scary, but that unknown, we are working on it.
And I think it's almost like when you're working with, and I'm not saying this out of regret, but in hindsight, let's just say, as I'm thinking about you processing with your dad, people like choices.
Yeah.
And you don't know what those choices are yet. But if you could say, this is one option and this is another option.
Right.
You pick. So I didn't pause to do that. So you now have this opportunity to say, okay, we are talking to Area Agency on Aging. These are the options. These are the pros. These are the cons. And I think when you think about making choices, not focusing in, and
yes.
You kind of had shared a story about the deer. I think this is a really good.
Okay, so actually, and the interesting thing is it came from my dad because he was so afraid. And I sat down with him and said, God, I'm jumping around the story, but I'll just say, I sat him down when we figured out that getting him into a facility, and we found a wonderful one, but we don't have the funds for it. So I said, we have other options. He had this idea that we should have somebody come live with them rent-free and then they help. That was his plan. I was like, it's not a logical idea. I just don't know if there's anyone in Ionia, and that was his only plan. He really couldn't hear anything else but that.
I remember you should, or we just need to get more money.
Well, that was his first plan.
Right.
My mom said, well, what do you want me to do? And he said, go out and get $1 million. That was really his, and he was legitimate. If you could go out and get a bunch of money so that we can pay for someone to come and give the care. And mom's like, and that's where you learn. Sometimes dad's not always quite there.
Right.
So he's told my mom, it's like we're in a tunnel. He said, we're in a tunnel and we're heading toward the end. He goes, I don't even mean the end of my life, but the end. And there's no solutions. This is his phrasing. There are no solutions except for this one thing. And I heard that and was like, wow, what a perspective. That when you're in a tunnel, or a funnel, he called it. When you're in a funnel,
And that's a different, because when I say funnel, then you're going down.
you're going down.
And a tunnel, it's like you're going
somewhere.
toward.
Yeah.
But a funnel's a different.
Funnel is, he said funnel down.
Yeah.
So then it made me think about, and I was talking to my sister about how when you're trying to figure something out and you have tunnel vision or a funnel, you cannot see anything but what you're looking at, right?
Right.
Like through that hole, other end. Now, there may be a bunch of stuff around you that you legitimately cannot see because all you're seeing is the direction you're going. And then this can actually be a positive or a negative. If you get fixated on this is the answer to our plans, even if it's a positive, there might be another opportunity that's sitting right next to you going, hey, over here.
Yeah.
And you're like, nope, this is the only thing, only solution for me. You think about this when someone decides what career they're going to be or who they're going to marry or anything.
What car they're going to buy.
Exactly.
Any decision.
Any
this
decision.
Can be applied. Yeah.
You can get into a funnel zone where you actually discount any other bit of information because you can't even see it. So think of a pair of binoculars. Because we're sitting in the cornfield,
Right.
and they had just mowed down all of the alfalfa, so all of the deer were coming out. And my sister's like, oh, look, there's a deer. And I couldn't see it. You know, she's pointing. I'm like, oh, there it is. And it made me realize that when you have binoculars, you cannot look at a big scope of a place with your binoculars and find a deer, right? You're like, whoom, whoom, you'll be passing by. What you do when you use binoculars is you take them down and you look at the big picture. And someone's like, it's over there. And you're like, oh, there it is. You see the deer from the big picture. Then you bring up the binoculars in the general direction that you're looking. And then you can find it.
Right.
And then someone goes, there's another one off on the other side of the field. You don't take the binoculars and struggle to try to find that. You take them down, you look, and you go, oh,
Big
there
picture.
it is. Big picture. And then close-up picture. Big picture and close-up picture. And both of those are valuable.
Well, and I think like the stage that you're in right now is big picture, you're gathering information.
Yes.
So you are not making a decision, but like these are all the things. So you're meeting with this person and meeting with that person and trying to package it up. Like what are our options? What can we zoom in? So let's say you're gathering all this. Okay, well there's 2 deer. There's 2 options. So let's zoom in on this deer on the left. And this is one option, and then zoom in, and maybe there's only one option. I don't know.
Well, we had that. We just had that where we found a place that we loved. It's furnished. It's more expensive than we wanted, not quite as close to Nan.
A house?
A house.
Okay.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And how far away was it from Nan's?
Oh, just 20 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just not, because we were thinking to do near her. We weren't finding anything. So this just looked like glory be. And all of a sudden it was like, oh my God, this is it. And we were so.
It's a buck.
Oh, it was a, whatever.
18 point.
Yeah, it was an 18-point buck.
I don't even know if that's
deer hunter.
possible.
I don't think it is possible.
Let's just
9
say
and 9.
12.
Yeah, at least it's an even number.
Right. Well, 12 point. More realistic.
But we were so keyed in on this. This was the answer. I said to myself, I'm so eager for this place. I'm so excited about this place that I'm getting tunnel vision.
Yes. Good. Yeah. Awareness, I guess is the word.
Yeah, exactly. And I was at the little laundromat and I sat there in the car and I thought, I need to actually look to see what else is out there.
Right.
Because there might be something else and I can't fixate on this one thing being the answer. I have to. And I called 3 other places and said, do you have any rooms on the ground floor? And this is what we're looking for and blah, blah, blah. And I just kind of threw that all out there to say, all right, universe, if you have a better idea for me, I am keeping my eyes, ears, heart, mind open. Like that is the key. Even when it looks like perfection. Is go, hey, I don't know. Maybe there's something in that possibility that wouldn't work at all.
Right.
And we would later regret it and go, why didn't we even look to see if there's anything else out there? So keep your eyes, ears, heart, mind open is what I'm working to do. And I can feel myself zone in.
And I think there's a timing thing too, because you do want closure. Because that feels good.
Yeah.
And you're going to be away from your mom and dad for a little bit. So it's like, oh, wouldn't that be nice to have that all done?
Can I just have it finished before I walk out the door? Can I please, for God's sakes, have this one thing done?
Right.
Absolutely. You're right. The word is awareness. And my new awareness is when my stomach clenches. And this is the practice of 9 months right now.
Right.
If I notice my stomach just goes, just a little crunch for excitement or fear,
Okay.
I make myself relax and I say, I'm open to this being easy. I'm open to this. I'm keeping my eyes aware that this might not be the answer because I can do it for both. Oh, shit, what's going to happen? And, oh my God, that's so good. Both of those cause a clench. And the clench causes a focus. And a focus causes an inability to see any other options.
Right.
So it all comes down to now my stomach, just the littlest, and I go, oh, and I relax. Take a deep breath and say, okay, I'm open to other options, whatever's out there, I'm listening.
But I think what I heard you say, which I think is important too, is you are doing the work of looking for other options.
Yep.
So you can't just say, well, I'm open to other options and sit and watch Netflix all day.
Right.
Like you have to do the work.
You have to do the work.
And
what's that quote? You just heard it. You just told me that quote that from the woman. Because mine is I'm open to it being easy, but you said there was a quote.
This was something, I think she was 92, the lessons I've learned and things like that.
Okay,
and she said, over prepare and then let go.
Yeah.
Or let things happen. I don't remember.
Let it happen. Yeah, I think that was it. Over prepare, that's what you said, and let it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's exactly what we're trying to do. It's not that when you say I'm open to it being easy, you're right. As much as I would love to sit and watch the rest of Stranger Things, I am actually going to do the work, right?
Yeah.
So
you have to prepare.
You have to prepare, and you have to, we'll have a powwow with my mom, my sister, and I, and go through, okay, what about this? What about this? And I don't know, and that's not going to work. And we get all the details and the grind of it. And then when we get done with all, okay, so I think that's a good idea. That's a good idea. Then we all just kind of relax, and I say, I'm open to this being easy.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like every meeting in the whole wide world, I don't even care if it's NATO, every meeting should end with, I'm open to this being easy.
Right.
Because we've done all the work. We've looked at all the angles. We've seen all the problems and all of the solutions. Now let's let the magic happen.
Yeah.
Because we know what we need and we know what we're up against, but let's be open to it being easy.
Done. Exactly.
I think we can end this one with that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today. If you liked what you heard, be sure to hit subscribe.
If you have any questions or ideas for upcoming episodes or would like to share your story with us, feel free to reach out on our website at lisaandlana.com or follow us on Taking Care of Our Parents on Instagram and Facebook. And if this podcast has helped you in any way, please be sure to share it with your friends and family. There's a lot of us out there stuck in the middle of this caregiving journey, and it's always good to know that we are not alone. Thanks again for listening. Until next time.
Two old friends talking to